Imagine this. It's the biggest football match on Earth. Billions of people are watching. The score is 2-2. The final whistle blows. So, who wins the FIFA World Cup? Do they share the trophy? Do they play another match tomorrow? Or does something even crazier happen? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what happens if the World Cup final ends in a draw, and why some of the greatest moments in football history happened after the 99th minute. Here's the first thing most new fans don't know. A football match normally lasts 90 minutes. That's two halves of 45 minutes each. If it's a regular league game and the score is tied after those 90 minutes, that's it. The match ends in a draw, and both teams go home with 1 point. Simple. But the World Cup final is different. Very different, because there has to be one champion. There can't be two winners lifting the biggest trophy in football, so if the score is tied after 90 minutes, the game isn't over. It's only entering its most dramatic chapter. The referee blows the whistle. Players gather around their coaches. Fans can barely breathe. Then comes something called extra time. If you've never watched football before, think of it like overtime in other sports. Extra time adds another 30 minutes to the match. It's split into two halves of 15 minutes. That means players who have already been running for an hour and a half now have to keep going. And here's the surprising part. By this point, many players have already covered around 10 to 13 kilometers during the match. Imagine sprinting, changing direction, tackling, and thinking under pressure for nearly 2 hours. Fatigue becomes the biggest opponent. This is where heroes are made, and mistakes become much more common. You might expect teams to attack wildly, but sometimes the opposite happens. Many teams become more careful. Why? Because one mistake could cost an entire nation the World Cup. It's like walking across a frozen lake. You can run, or you can move carefully because one wrong step changes everything. Now here's something that surprises many first-time viewers. Extra time isn't sudden death. Years ago, football experimented with something called the golden goal. If one team scored, the match ended immediately. Imagine scoring one goal and instantly becoming world champion. Sounds exciting, right? It was. But it also made teams too afraid to attack. So today, that's gone. Even if one team scores an extra time, the other team still gets a chance to fight back until the full 30 minutes are finished. But what if the score is still tied? Now we reach one of the most nerve-wracking moments in sports. The penalty shootout. This isn't part of normal football anymore. Think of it as football's version of a tiebreaker. Each team chooses 5 players. One by one, they take a penalty kick. It's just the player, the goalkeeper, and millions of people watching. The ball is placed 12 yards from the goal. That might not sound far, but under this pressure, it can feel like a mile. Here's an incredible fact. Some of the greatest football players in history have missed penalties on the biggest stage. Even legends aren't immune to pressure. Why? Because pressure changes everything. Your legs feel heavier, your heartbeat gets faster, and your brain starts overthinking. That's why penalty shootouts are often described as more psychological than physical. Each successful penalty earns 1 point. After 5 kicks each, whoever has scored more wins. Simple. Unless they're still tied. Yes, it can get even crazier. If both teams score the same number after 5 penalties, the shootout enters sudden death. Now, every kick matters even more. One team scores, the other misses, and it's game over. World champions. Imagine standing alone with an entire country's dreams resting on one kick. That's pressure very few humans will ever experience. You might wonder, has a World Cup final actually been decided this way? Absolutely. And those matches are unforgettable. One famous example came in 1994. After 120 minutes of football, neither team had scored. 0-0. Everything came down to penalties. The final kick became one of the most emotional moments in football history. Another unforgettable final happened in 2006. Again, the match couldn't be decided in normal time. Penalties crowned the champions. Then came 2022. Many people call it the greatest World Cup final ever played. The score kept changing, momentum swung back and forth, stars delivered incredible moments, and even after extra time, nobody could separate the teams. Once again, penalties decided the champion. It's proof that sometimes football saves its biggest drama for the very end. Now here's a question many beginners ask. Why not just keep playing until someone scores? After all, that's how some sports work. The answer is surprisingly practical. Players are already exhausted after 120 minutes. Continuing much longer increases the risk of injuries. Broadcasters around the world also schedule matches down to the minute, and asking players to run for 3 or 4 hours simply isn't realistic. Penalties may seem cruel, but they guarantee a winner while testing skill, composure, and courage. Some fans love penalty shootouts, others hate them. Critics say the world's biggest tournament shouldn't end with penalties. Supporters argue that nothing creates more unforgettable drama. Either way, almost everyone agrees on one thing. Few moments in sports are as tense as watching a World Cup final penalty shootout. One kick can turn an unknown goalkeeper into a national hero. One miss can become a moment remembered for decades. That's how powerful the World Cup is. So let's put everything together. If the World Cup final is tied after 90 minutes, the teams don't share the trophy. They play 30 minutes of extra time. If the score is still level, they move to a penalty shootout, 5 kicks each, then sudden death if needed. Only one team lifts the trophy. One final whistle, one celebration, one nation on top of the football world. And that's exactly why millions of people keep watching until the very last second. Because in a World Cup final, the real ending might not even begin until the 91st minute. If you enjoyed learning how football works in simple terms, make sure to subscribe, because we'll be breaking down more World Cup rules, famous moments, and football mysteries that anyone can understand. You won't want to miss the next one.